shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, just some social shit for everyone, you know what I'm saying? Like, I made this be myself, so hear me. I mean, like, we can put all that clown shit away. There's some real shit for you. I'm spazzing right now, so listen, let's go. Yeah. It's in their bones, the thoughts and harmony for the love of the money. Then fall victim for the cookie, then turn pussy, it's lonely. You said you hold it down when life get rough, we're here now, so show me. We move them losses to them wins. Heavy pounds, we make it ends meet. Converse of only few who make me feel like I be 10 feet.
Feel like I be 10 feet. Yo, big up people, man. You know what time it is. You know the vibes already. We're back in the building. Make sure you're smashing that like, sharing, and subscribing to the damn channel. I ain't done a pre-record in a little while. I haven't done a pre-record in a little while. So I said, you know what? We've got, big game coming up this weekend against Arsenal. Big clash of the weekend, top of the table clash, with both Arsenal and Liverpool vying for the title come the end of the season. So I said, it's probably a good time to, take a quick look at, Arne Slot's kind of time period. Obviously, I know, I've got my monthly reviews, and of course, we look at it from month to month, how Liverpool have done. But right now, of course, listen, look, Liverpool played 12 games so far. So we've got a good chunk, of data in regards to like Arne Slot and all of that kind of stuff. So I said, just wanted to really just kind of rap about, Slot, in terms of, from where we were, with Slot in terms of when he first come in, and or even just looking at like the reports of him potentially taking over Liverpool to the position that we're in now, where after 12 games, Liverpool have won 11 of those games. Like, I can't even lie, for Arne Slot right now, man, I have to give him his props, man. As you guys, of course, you can see, like 12 games, 11 victories, for Liverpool at this current, moment in time. It's been a really, really good time for him, man. Honestly, it's been a really, really good time. He's done a lot of things that I don't think many of us thought he was going to do. In terms of, listen, we know the story. He's taken over Klopp. It's we've had this manager for ages. We played a certain type of football. Klopp won the Premier League, and everyone loves him. Blah blah blah, all that kind of rubbish. So and a lot of people did think that as soon as we get a new manager in, there's going to be that natural drop off, which would have been totally understandable had there been this drop off. Now, it's still early. It's still early days. So I'm not trying to look at it from the kind of position of like, oh my days, like he's gonna do this and no. It's not about getting too far ahead of ourselves. It's not about thinking too far ahead. It's just more about looking at the situation with Arne Slot at this current moment in time. And if you just looked at it now, all the data that you got right now of Arne Slot, no one's complaining. I know for a fact no one ain't trying to complain about Arne Slot. No way. I ain't even trying to hear that. And you know me already, like, you know what I mean? Like, if I see something I don't like, I'm gonna say it. And right now, I can't think of what you would think in terms of, Slot's not really the. Listen, of course, you haven't been in long enough to go through periods like every manager does, unless your name's Pep Guardiola. Every manager will go through that kind of period of time where it's like, you know what? There's question marks on you as a manager. There's question marks on your managerial skills, and you're gonna go through a bad period. It's gonna happen. This will, in his tenure, it will happen at some point in time. Of course it will. But at this current moment in time, what he's showing everybody, and what he's doing with the team, you guys can see it here, in terms of Liverpool's kind of record. Liverpool won 11 of their first 12 games of a season for the first time in their history. Arne Slot is the first manager to win 11 of his first 12 games across all competitions in English top division history. Like he's doing things 6 wins away from home in a row. Like, brother is doing things that, we didn't expect him necessarily to actually do. Now, of course, you look at the fixture list, you look at the games that Liverpool, of course, have had to play, this season. And listen, we could sit there and say, with the team that we had, if we had the exact same team with a different manager, you would expect us to get victories in most of these, if not all the games that we have got victories in. To be honest with you, yes, you might have thought potentially hiccups against a Milan side, or even Manchester United away at Old Trafford, or I'm just looking here. Even the first game against Ipswich, there are games in there where you maybe think, oh, you know what, different manager, different type of vibe, maybe that could have ended a bit differently for Liverpool. But the sheer fact that he's put himself and Liverpool, you know, and what he's actually doing with the team, honestly, man, it's really, really good. It's really, really good. And when it's funny because I was looking, you know, at, you know, Jurgen Klopp, you know, last season, and I'm not going to compare it to his very first season. I'm going to compare it to the last season we just had, because obviously it's two different contexts, like the team that he came into, etc., etc. At least this is the same team he had last season. What I found interesting though is that Klopp also won. This is 12 games of last season, first 12 games. Liverpool, in that, only 3 games where we didn't pick up a victory. We got 2 draws and a defeat in that time, which is quite interesting, which is very, very obviously. Remember the Tottenham game, of course. That game lives long in the memory of Liverpool fans. But what I found the most interesting is the amount of goals that we actually conceded during this period of time. So if I add it up right now, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We conceded 10 goals. 10 goals in our first 12 games. That's a lot of goals to concede. That you know what I mean? Let's not lie. That's a lot of goals to concede. Now you compare that to 10 and 12, that's what we conceded. If you compare that to now, when we look at it, you have now got, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's 4, yeah, 4, 5. So you got 5, is that 5? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that might be 6 actually. 5, 1. That's 1 there. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So you're saying, yeah, 5 goals. So you got 5 goals that we've conceded. Sorry, I couldn't really see it there. But yeah, you got 5 goals that we've conceded in that period of time. So 10 last season, we've halved that now, and we're now getting 5. You know, and I think that is just testament, you know, just in regards to the way that, you know, the way that Slot is obviously playing. You know, I think that's one of the biggest things. And when you look at it, look, we don't have to do like a tactical masterclass and all of this kind of stuff, because we've all seen the way that Slot plays, and, you know, etc., etc. But just the way that Liverpool are in their build up, I think it's a lot more structured, you know, for us to be able to have a base to kind of just work with. Obviously this is against Manchester United, but we've now got that base where it's building from the back, but it's also not leaving us in positions where we're going to be, you know, left quite, you know, threadbare. If I'm being 100% honest with you, like if I take it back to like when Klopp was managing Liverpool, I always kind of felt like, yo, we're kind of, I mean, you look at this and you're like, eesh, like we're relying, obviously, as well as the intensity and stuff like that, but we're relying on this, yo, 1v, you need to win those 1v1 battles. I'm like, you see that kind of thinking, that's fine, of course, because you got Van Dijk, you got Konate, Konza as well, who can obviously step in, Gomez. Physically, those guys are really, really good, right? Fast, strong, etc., etc. Decent on the ball for some of them, blah, blah, blah. Cool. But to rely on that, like, yo, you need to win those 1v1 battles, I'm like, eesh, that's a little bit, do you know what I mean? Like, we are, you know, it's the risk versus reward, obviously, of course. And now I'm not sitting here trying to say, oh yeah, it didn't work. Of course it worked. Like, I don't want people to think that I'm going to be disingenuous in any type of way. It did obviously work at a period of time. Of course it did. But it was never sustainable. You could see it wasn't sustainable, because look at the injuries that we were getting. Look at the fact that you couldn't really throw in anybody into this team, because if the first team players weren't there, the second set of players couldn't really keep up that level of intensity or couldn't really play the same way. Whereas now you see with Liverpool, I'm not saying it's exactly the same as the first team, because it never should, because that's why you got first team and, you know, squad players, but it's not too dissimilar. If Jones is playing, Zabozala is playing, Gakpo is playing, Nunez is playing, Jota is playing, Chiesa comes in, Kwanzaa at the back, Tsimikas is playing, Keller is in goal. It's not too dissimilar in terms of our performance levels and the way that we actually want to play. It's quite similar. Whereas with this, like I said, I was never really comfortable with this. You guys already know. I don't need to lie. I don't need to, spare no bones about it. I didn't really like the football in itself, in a general sense, because I said it was more of a here today, gone tomorrow type of football that we kind of had, which is it's good for the moment, but it's not a long term kind of thing. You can just see that this isn't going to be something that the team are going to be able to continue for a long period of time. When it did work, though, I'll give Klopp the credit. When it does work, it's free flowing. We're scoring goals. We're getting a lot of goals here, there, and everywhere, kind of thing. I think if you go back to how many goals we even scored, I mean, to even add that all up, so you got 3 there, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 17, 20, 21, 23, 25, 27, 28. That's about 28 goals that you scored there. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of goals. That's in 12 games, in comparison to, say, an Arne slot this season. So you got 28 goals there, whereas we've only scored, what's that? 3, 6, 9, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We're just, 21, 26. So because of that 5-1 victory against West Ham. But 26 goals. So we still got less goals regardless of anything, but 26 goals, but we've only conceded, 5 goals. It's just a better ratio at the moment. And I do put that down to, the way that Liverpool are playing now. It's just it's not massive differences, by the way, because you can see in the way that we kind of set up anyway. It's not massive differences that you can see with Liverpool. It's not like, oh my goodness, we're playing completely different to what we were doing before. We still kind of set up in the same way, where you got a Robbo, Van Dijk, and Matip, obviously replace Matt with like a Konate, for example. You still got those kind of patterns. Trent going into midfield, acting double pivot, someone there. Now it's obviously Gravenberch who's in that position, kind of thing. And also as well, McAllister might still be there, so it might also even be a 3 in front of that 3, and then you've got your Szoboszlai, and then other players obviously dotted around. It's still very similar in what we're trying to do. There is obviously last season, I'm not going to lie, of course there's patterns of play, even though at times I did feel like the patterns of play were a bit too easy to kind of work out, but there was patterns of play regardless of anything. The way that we press, that is the big difference, I think, between the two, is that the way that we press now in comparison, again, here today, gone tomorrow. The press last season, in my opinion, was better, but better in terms of it was a lot more intense and it forced a lot more errors from opposition. Now, that can be a good thing. If you can't keep that up, though, that's where the shape starts to get a little bit, and then that's where you start conceding goals, and then that's where you start putting yourself in a position whereby we're starting to, leave too much space at the back now. Now you're leaving it Van Dijk versus 2 players, and it's happening quite a lot. Or Konate is being doubled up. How's your saying about being doubled up? How does that make sense? Usually it's the fullback, but for some reason Konate's got 2 people to kind of deal with. And you can see here, look, obviously this against Manchester United again, you can see here in the way that we kind of set up, the way that Salah presses, the way that Diaz presses, the way that Nunes will help out, the way that Jota, is starting to help out, the way that we set, the base for the midfield in terms of the way that we defend and stuff like that. All of these things are, helping out vertical defense line. Forget the big words, forget the silly words, but you can just see it with your eyes. If you look on the screen there, this is now a new Liverpool in terms of the defensive side of things. I think that's what we've improved more so than anything else. Attacking sense, we still get the chances, and by the way, we're still conceding chances. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Leipzig had God knows how many chances, against us. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, we're flawless. We're not flawless. This is where it's about development and stuff like that. So that's where I'm saying I'm only judging it off these 12 games at this moment in time. I'm not going to go too far ahead, but you can see there is a clear difference. Teams, in my opinion, when I'm watching the game, it happens in moments, of course, and it seems to be quite It seems to be in the same kind of period all the time. It's either usually beginning and ending of games. In the middle of games, it never usually really happens. But beginning and ending of games, that's where Liverpool look, for some weird reason, a bit more vulnerable. That is something I do think Slot maybe needs to try and improve upon. And I was hoping that we would have, potentially seen an improvement, within that. I know we're not necessarily conceding goals, but you can see that, yo, guys, we're not starting games off well for some weird reason. Don't know what it is. I like it. It's very odd. It's very, very odd. I really would love to know, the reasons behind that. But, that is what it is. That's not too, I'm not going to, complain too much about that. But in terms of the defensive side, that's just where I'm looking at Liverpool and I'm thinking, bloody hell, you know what I mean? Like we are doing, pretty well, if I'm being totally honest with you. And I'm liking the football. I'm really, really liking the football. I'm liking the style of play. Yes, some people say it's boring. I get it. See me, I kind of like boring though. You know me already, guys. I like boring. I like the kind of the simplistic things. I like the movement. I like the fact that, at times, you're going to have to maybe just game management, better game management, just stifle the game a little bit. Something that I felt we was not doing well under Jurgen Klopp ever. We just didn't understand about game management. Klopp would speak about it at times. I hear him after certain games. He would say, we need to manage the game better and this, that, and the third. But you're the manager and it's just not happening for whatever reason. Your style of play, the team, whatever. Like it just seemed like it is what it is, at that period of time. But now it just seems like Liverpool understand that game management. Maybe it is about as well evolution. Maybe it is about developing as players. But to be fair, quite a lot of these players have played with Klopp for a long time and they've been at Liverpool for quite a while and they are experienced players. I do expect better game management, in terms of previous seasons, and we just was not bringing that. And that's what used to annoy me, the most about Liverpool was, bro, like, big up Savage because he mentioned this on Enz's preview for the Arsenal game. In terms of, getting the 3 points against Arsenal and stuff like that, and I said it, in big games, I don't give a flying whatever. I don't care. When it comes to big games, I really do not care about, the performance level of the team and, the team playing well. And I don't care. I just want you to get the 3 points. I just want you to win the game. Because in big games, it's never usually about performances. Hence why in finals are never usually good. I can't remember the last good final that I actually sat there and watched and thought, fucking hell, this is a good game. If I think of finals in my head, there are good games. So Barcelona versus Manchester United Champions League final. Yeah, that was a decent game. Both of them actually were pretty decent games. God, look how long ago that was. I can't think of many. Maybe I'm missing some. I can't think of many finals. The World Cup final was good. Do you know what I mean? Because that was just a YOLO type of vibe where it literally was everybody was just doing their own thing. Messi and Mbappe, just turning up, etc., etc., or Mbappe in particular. Yeah, there's not many. There's not many. So, and when I look at some of the big games, sometimes I'm like, when I say big games, I'll talk like semi-final, like usually cup competitions, to be fair, because that's where, if you lose, then you're out. But in these kind of cup competitions, I said it before about Real Madrid. I know Savage don't like me using the word, but they were second best against Chelsea, against Manchester City, against Liverpool in the final. Guess who lifted the trophy? Guess who walked away with a trophy and nobody cares about context? Because you see, in 5 years' time, no one's going to look back at the game and be like, oh, yeah, but, Liverpool had like 20-something shots and, Qatar was on one. Who cares if Qatar was on one? Qatar could be on one. That's the whole point of the goalkeeper being there. Guess what? They picked up the trophy. It doesn't matter in the end. Do you get what I'm trying to like? And it shouldn't matter in the end. I don't care how good you played. How good you played is irrelevant if you're not picking up the trophy. I'm sorry. No point trying to applaud second best all the time. It's quite silly. And this is the point I'm trying to make, is that as much as, of course, I might not like Klopp's old football. He was winning games and stuff like that. So that's just then down to, personal preference. But even now, when you watch Slot and the way that Slot is kind of doing things, you can kind of see that, like, we're not even at our peak level yet. You know what I'm trying to say? We're not even at that level where you can be like, Jesus Christ, man, Liverpool. You can tell we're not there because Slot speaks about it every single game, give or take. It's only been like a few games where he's been like, nah, the game was good, in totality and blah, blah, blah. But he talks about almost every other game. He's always like, yeah, we need to do better here. We need to do better there, blah, blah, blah. And you think to yourself, fucking hell, we just won the game. But that is one of the things I like about Slot the most. Don't gaslight the team. something something that I saw quite a lot in previous seasons under the old manager, but something that I see a lot in managers quite a lot, and then it feeds onto fan bases. Fan bases now, we can't even have a constructive conversation because, yeah, but we just won, G. Oh, but we won 3 to the, like, okay, we won. But regardless of how, like, regardless of the fact that we did win the game, it's not amounting to anything. I need it to start amounting to something. I don't mind if we played shit, but then won the game and then we're winning league titles doing so. Okay, then calm. Then that's just the way that we're winning league titles. But that's not amounting to that, though. What it's amounting to, we've got some records of, yeah, we won this amount of. I don't care how many games you win in a row. I don't care what the record is of how many games. If you've won 18 games in a row, if it doesn't amount to anything, I do not care. It is irrelevant. It means nothing to me. It means absolutely nothing to me because it's not amounting to anything. And that was always my issue, is that people never wanted to then see the other side of things, because when we spoke about it like last season and stuff like that, it was always, well, you know, Klopp was happy with this or Klopp was happy with that. And then that feeds onto the fan base. Now the fan base are like, yeah, but we're winning, and, you know, we're still winning games. It doesn't really matter. Guess what? We finished third. Finished third of all these good games that we finished third. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So, and it's like, we can't even have that constructive conversation now, you know, where we're at least like, we finished third for a reason. So clearly there's holes within the team. So can we not have that conversation? And that's what I like about Slot, is that it's almost like we don't even need to have that conversation, because he's already pointing it out to everybody now. He's already telling us from the jump, like, guys, this is the situation. Do you get what I mean? Like, we're not doing this well, or I don't like the fact that my goalkeeper has to be called into question too much. I don't like the fact that the centre-backs are being asked to do too much. I don't like the fact that we didn't play that well against Chelsea. I don't like the fact that we lost to Nottingham. I love that about a manager, because it just shows me that you're a lot more grounded and you read the room a lot better. I get it. Fans will be fans at the end of the day. At the end of the day, fans are here to support the team, and they're here to unite and all of that kind of good stuff. That's great. And of course, we're not managers. We're not players and stuff like that. So our investment is only really to support the team, right? I get that. But you know me, I'm a bit more of a deeper thinker in those kind of situations. I've watched football for 25 plus years, especially the Premier League, and there are fine margins to winning this competition. And considering we've only won it once, we are not in a position to sit here and act like our way of doing things in the previous 30 odd years is a way for us to continue forward. Something needs to change. We need to start moving with the times. And I feel like having a manager like Slot at the moment, again, just want to reiterate, at this current moment in time, having a manager like Slot is a manager who can move with the current times. Like I said before, we weren't moving with the current times. And that's why I felt like we were becoming stale. We were becoming old. We were becoming boring, and it was just rubbish to watch, and etc. etc. Now we've got a more new age manager. When I say new age, in terms of the style of play that we are doing now, this is the kind of style of play of in general how football is being played right now, or with the players that we've got, with the manager that we've got who's able to implement this style. I feel like, you know, Liverpool are, you know, putting themselves in a good position. Now, of course, like I keep having to just caveat, I don't want people to think, oh, but you're going too far. You think, no. You guys already know me. I keep it a buck with everybody. Like, the reality is, we're just talking about now, as of today, as of the 12 games into the season, you know, kind of thing. I don't know what Slot's going to do. For all I know, Slot loses the next 5 games. And then now we're looking at man a bit funny. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But I don't even envisage that something like that even realistically happening. Barring like some stupid injury kind of situation, I don't see that, you know, necessarily happening. And again, like I say, that's just more of a testament, you know, to someone, you know, someone like a Slot. I think one of the biggest things as well is, and the reason I've got Gravenberch up on the screen is, and listen, look, I don't care about ratings on these kind of sofa scores and FOT mobs and stuff like that, because it's a bit funny. But just looking at this, yeah, excuse me, last season and heading into the summer, I think most people would have said, yeah, no, Gravenberch can go. In fact, nobody had Gravenberch in their like, when we're doing like the team for the season, nobody had Gravenberch. I know no one did, because I watched more or less all of the Liverpool content creators during the summer. I was on quite a few channels and, you know, listening to a few channels. None of us did, myself included, by the way, but none of us did that. There was a reason for that, because we didn't think he would be good enough. Somehow, and Jerry said this the other day on his Twitter, somehow we've gotten a player to go from looking like he was going to turn into the new De Ligt, where you keep going to these big clubs and flopping, to all of a sudden now, man's putting in very good performances and is looking like an absolute beast, currently for Liverpool. It's crazy to think. Now, you can sit here and say, yeah, but he's playing in this position and da-da-da-da-da. I don't know if it's just that simple. I really don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's just that simple of, yeah, they just played him in his position that well because he played that position. This is what it is. There has to be some level of coaching. It's the style of play that, the manager wants the team to play. Does it benefit someone like a Gravenberch? And I think it's interesting to see that when the last two managers that he's had, the two German managers, both in Tuchel and Jurgen Klopp, in the style of football that they want to play, it doesn't really benefit, and well, clearly anyway, from what we've seen, it didn't really benefit someone like a Ryan Gravenberch. Whereas what we're seeing now is that the style of football that we're playing under a Dutch manager who understands the Dutch way of playing, coupled with the Pep Guardiola way of playing, which is basically the Dutch way of playing, we're now seeing the best of someone like a Gravenberch, which I just find so interesting to see. But even with other players, you got Mo Salah tracking back. You got Trent looking better defensively. I'm not saying I don't think he's been great, but let me not say Trent. The defense just looks better defensively, whereas under Klopp, it didn't look good. It was always about the individual. It was always like individually they look good. Like Konate will look good on his day, but he's got bozo moments. He's still got bozo moments now, by the way. Van Dijk, obviously, is Van Dijk, and Robbo, blah blah blah. Whereas now, as a unit, this is one of the this is the most solid I've seen us for a minute. It's probably since 18-19 season where I felt like Liverpool were just excellent. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like we were just excellent in both defensively and in the attacking sense. So it's just Gravenberch is probably the epitome of what we've seen with Arne Slot. I think that is probably the best way to kind of look at it, at this current moment in time. But of course, listen, we've still got a long way to go. I don't want to go too far ahead. I don't want to, beat my chest too much, because the reality is, of course, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, and we need to just wait and see in regards to, how things kind of play out and, et cetera, et cetera. But listen, man, at this moment in time, Arne Slot is looking like a bit of a genius right about now, because he had the same set of players that Klopp had last season, and somehow he's getting these men to play in this way. Somehow we're seeing passages of football. Somehow we're seeing man turn it around the corner. Somehow Luis Diaz is now playing better. Somehow he's got Mo Salah tracking back. Somehow he's got Nunes tracking back. Somehow he's got Gravenberch playing like some rude hullet, as everyone keeps telling me about. Somehow he's got McAllister playing the doggy work in the midfield. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Obviously, yes, there are some players who are not playing as great. So Baudelaire, of course, being one of those. But that's few and far between. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So, yeah, for me, it's just a case of, let's just see, of course, where this goes. But, I had to big him up. I had to big him up because I was like, not even that he's not getting the respect. I do think he is getting the respect, really and truly. And I think people are starting to see that now with the way that Liverpool do play. But it was just more about, I'm more astonished than anything, and like I want to praise him, because I'm like, you're showing me that I was wrong about you when you first came in. At this current moment in time, of course, like I said, things can change. But at this moment in time, you're showing me that, you're actually kind of good. Do you know what I mean? You're all right. You're all right. Still, do you know what I mean? Like, you're doing your thing. You're doing your thing, man. So, it's just one of those kind of things, man. Let's wait and see. As I said, we've got a big game coming up this weekend. So, of course, we'll have to, hopefully we get the 3 points, and then we can, of course, just kind of move from there, stay top of the Premier League, and then, things are looking real rosy, especially heading into that November international break. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Big up to everybody who stayed to watch till the end of the video. I will be back for the match reaction for the Arsenal games, so make sure you stay tuned, stay locked in. I'll catch you guys in a bit. Peace!